I remember the first time that I was introduced to an epidemic. My kiddo was very young at the time, 10 months old. She'd become ill, extremely ill. She lost a lot of weight. It happened so fast. And the cough was like she was being shaken by a hyena every time she coughed. We had a great doctor. He would have made house calls if he could have. He called every day. And it was terrifying because I had to count the seconds between her breaths. Over our bed was a smoke detector, and it had one of those red flashing lights to let you know that it was working, that the battery was running. And I would count her breaths between the flashes. And it was terrifying. The sound of her breathing, it's almost impossible to describe. And I'm a metaphor queen. It wasn't like the scuttling of dry leaves. It was like she was drowning, and every breath she took was the sound of her breathing from beneath a bog. I learned a lot about epidemics and disease because during the month that she was sick, any free moment I had, I was on the phone with the Department of Health of the state, with her doctor, with this was before the internet. So the research that I did was calling different hospitals and calling doctors, even calling chiropractors, calling naturopaths, calling anybody I could possibly think of who might be able to help me understand what the fuck was possibly killing my kid. Turns out she had whooping cough. It was diagnosed by a chiropractor who heard her cough and said, I know what that is. That's whooping cough. Here's what you do: go to your doctor and da-dun, 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 da-dun. So I did. During that month, she lost 25% of her body weight. She never gained it back. She was sick for the next 7 years. Pneumonia, bronchitis, bronchiolitis, pleurisy. God. I caught whooping cough from her. I lost 25 pounds in a month. But I knew what it was. And knowing what it was afforded me a sense of, I knew what I was fighting against at least. I knew not what to expect, but I knew that there would be a fight because I knew what the fight was actually engaging. And I was going to kick that motherfucker straight out of the window. I was going to outlive that bastard. Besides, my kid was better. It's 23 years later. I still remember that sound. Now I think about COVID-19 and how little we know about it. And I don't know who I can call. I'm still doing research. I do a lot of research. Anything I learn, anything I hear about on the news, I try to find an actual scientific academic article. I try to go to the source. If I can't go to the source, then I go to someone who can actually cite the source and then find the source. And thank God the scientists have just opened up all of the doors. The academic paywalls are down. Everybody is, it is all hands on deck to figure out what the fuck this disease is. I believe that knowledge is power. But even more than that, I believe that knowledge is empowering. I believe that knowledge is, it can give us the sense and the that deep internal knowing of what this land is that we're standing on. Because we stand differently on a freshly plowed field than we do on a mossy bog. We stand differently on asphalt than we do on ice. We have to know what the ground is that we're standing on. Each one of us has our own specific like perspective and seeing things, and that way of seeing things changes. But I wish we knew what we were fighting against. I think about that time a lot now, especially that sound of my kids breathing, the sound of her cough. And when I pray to God that we don't hear that sound coming from our loved ones. I'm Catherine, and this is my real pandemic diary. Wash your hands. Take care of yourself.